You've always felt like an outsider in a world that rewards pretending. Too deep for small talk, too sensitive for surface-level living. But here's the part no one ever told you. You're not too much. You just tuned in. And the very things that made you feel like the black sheep are the same things that reveal a hidden gift, one you've carried your whole life without a name. These are 10 signs you're spiritually gifted, and it's time you finally understood why. This isn't just another signs video. This is the mirror you've been quietly searching for, because if you've ever wondered why you see what others don't, why you carry emotions like weight, why the world sometimes feels too loud, too fake, too fast, you're not broken. You're built differently. Spiritual gifts don't always arrive with rituals and crystals. Sometimes they show up as anxiety that doesn't belong to you, as knowing things you were never taught, as loneliness, even when you're surrounded. And if even one of these signs reflects you back to yourself, that's not a coincidence. That's a remembering. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you won't just know the signs, you'll understand why you've always felt this way. Sign 1. You don't just feel, you absorb. You walk into a room and know the mood before a word is spoken. You've cried over someone else's pain before they even admitted they were hurting. You don't just pick up on energy, you carry it. And maybe you've been called too sensitive your whole life, but what they called a weakness was never meant to survive their world. It was meant to transform it. You weren't made to harden. You were made to feel what others suppress, to be the unspoken voice of emotions no one knows how to name. Because spiritually gifted people don't just listen, they tune in. They don't just react, they resonate. If you've ever felt drained after being around people, if your silence gets louder in crowds, you're not overwhelmed. You're absorbing what was never yours to hold. And now, it's time to learn how to carry it differently. Sign 2. You've never really fit in, and you were never meant to. You've blended in when you had to. Laughed at the right times. Nodded in the right places. But if you're honest, you've always felt like a stranger in familiar rooms. You didn't come here to play the role. You came here to remember who you were before the world taught you to shrink. Spiritually gifted people often feel misplaced, like they were dropped into a reality that speaks a language their soul doesn't understand. Not because they're lost, but because they carry a blueprint from somewhere older, wiser. You're not here to belong to systems built on noise. You're here to see through them, to question what others accept, to awaken what others ignore. So if you spent your life feeling like the black sheep, like no one really gets you, you're not broken, you're ahead of schedule. And your isolation, that was never punishment, it was preparation. Sign 3, your dreams don't feel random because they aren't. You've had dreams that felt more like memories, scenes that never happened, but left you waking up with a feeling you couldn't shake. You dream in symbols, in messages, in warnings, and sometimes those dreams unfold days, weeks, or years later. This isn't just imagination. This is spiritual communication. The dream state is where the soul roams freely, unbound by logic, untouched by ego. And when you're spiritually gifted, that realm becomes your classroom, your meeting ground, your decoder ring. You may not always understand the meaning, but your spirit remembers the message. And if you've ever jolted awake, heart pounding, or felt a dream leave you altered, like it rearranged something inside you, you weren't just sleeping, you were receiving. And every time you've said, that dream meant something, you were right. Sign 4, strangers are drawn to you, and they don't know why. You've lost count of how many times it's happened. Someone sits beside you, and 5 minutes later, they're telling you about their childhood, their heartbreak, their pain. You didn't ask, but something in you made them feel safe, seen. Spiritually gifted people carry resonance. It's not something you say, it's something you radiate. You hold space without effort. You listen without trying. Your presence unlocks doors in people that they didn't even know were closed. And to them, it might feel like an accident, but to your soul, it's familiar work. You're not just a good listener. You're a quiet mirror, one that reflects truth without judgment. And if people often tell you, "I don't know why I'm telling you this," it's because their spirit recognizes something yours has always known how to hold. Sign 5. You crave deep connection, then pull away without warning. You long for soul-level connection, the kind of conversations that make time disappear, the kind of presence that makes you feel alive again. But just when things start getting close, you retreat, you ghost, you vanish into yourself. It's not mood swings, it's not emotional instability, it's your spirit regulating its energy. Because when you're spiritually gifted, connection isn't casual, it's cosmic. Every interaction is an exchange, and your soul knows exactly when it's given too much. You're not inconsistent, you're sensitive to frequency, and solitude is where you recalibrate. It's where the noise clears and your own voice returns. So the next time you crave connection but need to disappear afterward, know this: you're not confused, you're rebalancing. Sign 6. The world feels loud, even when it's quiet. Crowded rooms, flashing lights. That strange buzz you can't quite explain in certain places. To most people, it's background noise. To you, it's overload. Because when you're spiritually gifted, your nervous system becomes an antenna. You don't just notice the world, you receive it. Every vibration, every shift, every silent scream. And sometimes, your body speaks what your mind hasn't caught up to. Headaches out of nowhere. Fatigue that doesn't make sense. Tension in rooms where no one is talking. You weren't built for constant stimulation. You were built for truth. And this world is flooded with static. That's why you need silence more than others. Why you crave nature, ritual, stillness. Not because you're fragile, because you're tuned to frequencies most people have forgotten how to hear. Sign 7. You're drawn to the unseen, and always have been. Even before you had the words, you were pulled toward the mystical. Tarot cards, astrology, symbols, dreams, the things others laughed off as superstition, somehow felt like home to you. It's not just curiosity, it's recognition. Because when you're spiritually gifted, your soul remembers what your mind forgot. You're not learning, you're remembering. And every time you read something ancient or gaze at the stars, a piece of you whispers, "I've been here before." This pull to the unseen isn't a phase, it's not a trend. It's the echo of your deeper self, guiding you back to what has always been true. So if you've ever felt more connected to the moon than to most people, if symbols speak louder to you than facts, know this: you're not weird, you're waking up. Sign 8. Your deepest pain wasn't meant to break you, it was meant to initiate you. You've been through things that should have shattered you, moments that felt like endings, losses that carved you open in ways no one could see. And yet, something in you didn't just survive, it transformed. Spiritually gifted people rarely arrive through ease. They arrive through fire. Because the soul that's meant to hold light must first understand darkness. Your pain wasn't punishment, it was preparation. Every betrayal made your intuition sharper. Every heartbreak made your empathy deeper. Every breakdown broke the illusion. And though you didn't choose the suffering, you did choose to rise from it. That choice, to alchemize pain into wisdom, is one of the clearest signs of a soul that came here to awaken. You didn't just heal, you activated. Sign 9. You just know things, and you've stopped questioning why. There are moments when you say something, and then it happens. When you feel something, and later find out it was true. You can't explain it. You've just always had a sense, a pull, a knowing, not based on logic, not from books, but from something deeper, something that speaks without words. Spiritually gifted people often carry quiet prophecy. It's not flashy, it's not always clear, but it's real. Your intuition is a language your soul speaks fluently. And when you trust it, even when it doesn't make sense, you align with a guidance system that never lies. You've spent enough time second-guessing yourself. The truth is, you knew before you knew. You always have. Sign 10. You feel called to help others, even when you don't know how. You've always sensed it, that quiet urge to uplift, to guide, to heal, even when your own life felt messy, even when you weren't sure what you were doing. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present, because spiritually gifted people often carry the frequency of awakening. And when you're around others, something in them shifts. You might not notice it, but they do. A softening, a remembering, a spark. You were never meant to save the world. You were meant to awaken it. One honest conversation, one shared story, one silent presence at a time. And if you felt like you're here for something more, you are. Not because you're better, but because you remember what most people forgot. You're not just on a spiritual path. You are the path for someone else who needs to find theirs. If even one of these signs spoke to something you've never been able to explain, that's not random. That's remembrance. Because gifts don't always arrive with clarity. Sometimes they arrive as confusion, as loneliness, as, why am I like this? But the truth is, you've always known. You've always felt something ancient moving just beneath the surface. You just needed someone to name it. And if this video was that mirror, if something in you finally clicked, I want to know. Tell me in the comments, which sign hit you the hardest? Which one whispered, this is you? And if you're walking this path, learning to trust your knowing, your energy, your calling, subscribe to Invisible Truth, because this isn't just a channel. It's a sanctuary for souls who see too much, feel too much, and are ready to finally realize why.